All these things are going to build you into a person where you will feel strong and secure in yourself. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build a healthier relationship with yourself because you haven't got a relationship with your ex anymore. And this person that you are, you don't know yourself without your ex.
Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Coming Up for Air with myself, Lou. I hope we're all okay. Welcome back to my Tuesday. I have had a brilliant weekend, had a lovely Easter bank holiday. I think when you work for yourself, you kind of lose when the bank holidays are, and you don't really appreciate them because you're kind of working on your own sort of time every day. But I tried to be disciplined this weekend, and I tried to actually give myself some time off, which I did. I had a complete reset day yesterday. I was nursing a slight hangover. Yeah, when I say that I went out on Sunday and me and my best friend Isabel drank, we drank. But in our defence, Izzy isn't a big drinker, so she doesn't drink a lot. It's usually me that's drinking. Yeah, she doesn't really drink that much. So she said to me on Friday, she was like, do you want to go out this weekend? And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, I really fancy going out for a drink on Sunday. I thought I'm going to snap her hand off because she never wants to come out and drink. It's usually me just drinking wine, her on the cokes, and then she'll drop me home. So I snapped her hand off when she said let's go out on Sunday. So I spent Sunday day with my family. My mum, bless her, she cooked a big roast dinner. When I was in a relationship, my mum used to cook Sunday dinners every Sunday. We'd either go to my mum's or we'd go to my ex's mum's, and we'd alternate Sunday dinners. And I don't know why, but it was weird because when we split up, that kind of stopped. And we just stopped doing it. I think the last Sunday roast dinner that I had, not Christmas wise, was ages ago. We actually sat around and we were all trying to think about the last time that we had a roast dinner. So I spent Sunday with my parents and my whole family and my nephews, my nieces and my brother and my sister-in-law are all in Disneyland at the moment. I've just had another photo come through. They did breakfast with the characters this morning. Oh my God, their little faces. They've got dresses for every day. Every day they've got a different princess dress. I think they've actually gone matching today. I think they're both Elsa from Frozen. I'm not very good with the new princesses. I'm an old school Disney princess girly. So I'm like Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, all of those stuff. But the new ones do catch me out sometimes and they'll be like, Auntie Liz, this is so-and-so. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is. So yeah, we're getting loads of pictures sent through on the group chat with the girls in Disneyland, which is really cute. And then yesterday, like I said, yeah, we were suffering with a hangover. I was punished yesterday and I thought, do you know what? I am literally just going to sleep this off. And I slept until 12 o'clock and then got up and felt really great. Had a shower, washed the hangover off, do all the rest of it. And then I struggled not to sit on my laptop and I didn't want to be making content, but I really tried to give myself yesterday off. Anyway, welcome back. I've actually got a small little mini operation today at 2 o'clock. It's now 11:45, so I'm recording this and then I've got to go over to Birmingham just to have something done, which is really frustrating. It's because something wasn't done in my operation in December, or it was done but it was done badly, and now I've had to be told that I'm sitting on a waiting list and I am in a lot of pain. I am taking painkillers every single day. They can't give me a date for when they can get me in, so I've actually paid to go private. And I am not an NHS basher, I'm not. However, I just think as a woman, you know what is right and what isn't. And when your body is telling you that something isn't right and you're sitting in front of your GP and she's going, oh, well, you're going to have to sit on a waiting list, or my other option was to go to A&E, I just thought, no. So I've paid to go private. I know that isn't something that everybody can afford. And to be quite honest, I did debate sitting on that waiting list because I was like, do I really want to be spending this money before I start the summer? I've got weddings coming out of my ears, hen do's coming out of my ears. I want to go on holiday. You know, like summers are always really, really manic for me, really busy, very expensive. Do I really want to be dropping this money on an operation that I can just sit on a waiting list for? But I was in a lot of pain last week. I decided I wasn't going to sit in A&E, and yes, I pay taxes. Yes, I pay for my healthcare. However, I think sometimes, you know, my space on that waiting list could be taken up by somebody that maybe couldn't afford to go private. So I've just made the decision, and I'm actually very, very excited for this pain to stop. It's an ongoing issue. It's been ongoing all of last year. If you've listened to any of my other podcasts, you know I was in and out of hospital last year, a procedure after procedure after procedure after procedure. Hopefully this will be the be all and end all of it. I didn't preempt having to have another operation in 2025. 2025 was supposed to be the year that I didn't have an operation, but everything happens for a reason, and I am just going to start off with saying that everything happens for a reason, because I was also supposed to be running the London Marathon this weekend. Now, I have a very busy week. I'm away Thursday and Friday, and that would have been a thing that would have stood. I have to be away Thursday and Friday, and I would have been running the London Marathon on the Sunday. I've then obviously booked this procedure in. They can get me in. They got me in today, and that's another thing. Like I literally just went online, and they were like, we're only booking for the next 2 weeks. I could have got an appointment there and then on the day when I went online. It was wild. So yeah, I would have had to have this procedure done on Tuesday. Again, running the London Marathon on the Sunday. I'm obviously not running the London Marathon because my shin splints, but I just think everything has kind of like fallen into place for me to be fully secure and fully aware that like I was not meant to run this marathon. I was not meant to run London. This was not my year to do London. And even though I am gutted about it, I am really gutted about it, I am so aware that everything has been pointing to me not doing it. So last year when I got tonsillitis with Manchester, I was like adamant that I was going to make it to the start line. I couldn't not make it to the start line. This year, I have just taken it in my stride, and a lot of people have commented on the fact that I've taken the news of not running London really well, and I know that places for London are very few and far between, and I was very lucky to get a place. However, I'm not going to beat myself up about being injured. I'm not going to beat myself up about having to go away on Thursday and Friday this week. I'm not going to beat myself up about having to have this procedure. Like everything is kind of falling into a place to say, hey, look, like this wasn't your year. I was talking to somebody on Sunday, and I was saying to them, like, you know, the pressure that you put on yourself is huge. Like it's absolutely massive. You're training for 16 weeks, and like I'm not very good with not being resilient towards things, but one, shin splints is really painful, and two, like I said, I'm a big believer in the universe, and when there's things being sent left, right and centre to be like, this is happening on the week that you're running the marathon, this is happening here, this is happening here, and it's all pointing towards, should I run this marathon? No. Should I run this marathon? No. And no. I probably shouldn't be running this marathon. So yes, I'm obviously gutted that I am not going to be there on Sunday running. I've made the decision that I'm not going to go down to London as well, because A, it's bedlam, and B, I think it would just be a bit sad that I'm not running it. And I went down last year with my friend who is actually running it this year, and I was saying, you know, it is inspiring and it's motivational, and like you get the bug and you're like, oh my God, I want to do this, I want to do this. But I think for me, in the headspace that I'm in at the moment, in terms of running, being injured and all the rest of it, I just don't think it would be a good thing for me to go down there. Plus, my best friend who's come back from Australia has decided that she wants to have a child-free day and she wants to go to a bottomless brunch. So luckily for us, our town, we've got quite a few places that do bottomless brunches. So she doesn't have to go far. It's the first time that she's leaving her little baby, and I want her to let her hair down. So we're going to do that on Saturday. Again, another thing that has been booked in. I've been absolutely dying for her to come back and dying for her to let her hair down and kind of go back to the old, not the old person she was before she became a mum, but let that side out of her. And I wouldn't have been able to go had I been running the London Marathon. I'd have been in London. And yes, you could argue, you know, it's just one bottomless brunch, but she lives in Australia. I very, very, very rarely see her. She's one of my closest friends. I am really happy that I'm able to go to this bottomless brunch on Saturday. So yeah, everything is pointing in the way of like do not run this marathon. Anyway, I can't remember what I was talking about. I think I was talking about the course. I tried to get it out at the weekend, but I was doing life admin. Now, I listened back. Obviously, I edit my podcast episodes. I listened back, and I didn't actually tell you the full reason as to why I wanted to create that course. I found somebody claiming that you could detach from your ex in 4 days the other day. I was like, what? She is selling a course that's called Detach from Your Ex, Emotionally Detach from Your Ex in 4 days. And this is what I hate about this space. This is the advice that I was taking. This is the advice that I was listening to and I was looking at, and I was thinking, why on earth am I not feeling the way that these people are telling me that I should be feeling? 4 days. 4 days. So I was thinking, maybe it's like learning how to detach from your ex in 4 days, not detaching from your ex in 4 days. No, firmed it. You can detach from your ex in 4 days. And I just hate it. I hate anything along those lines. You know that if you've been here for a while, you know I hate them. Manifest your ex back, get over your ex in 60 days, detach from your ex in 4 days. I think it's just such toxic advice, which is why I've created a course, because I thought, no, there are going to be people that are going to be picking up that course and thinking, why can I not do this? So I've created my own. I've gone into loads and loads of detail. There are no video elements of this course. It is just a PDF. And I have broken it down into stages, into weeks again, and they are solid things that you can do to build into your routine. So the reason why I've started creating courses is because people come to me and say, how do you get over your breakup? What they don't want to hear is, you need to be doing this on the daily, you need to be doing this on the daily, you need to be doing this on the daily, because they don't remember. And you can't remember because you're so overwhelmed with everything else. It's hard to create a new routine. What people don't realize is that your whole routine has to change, otherwise you're never going to get over your ex, because your life isn't your life how it was pre-breakup. So I've started creating these courses because I want to be able to guide people into creating healthy routines, and then for you to have something to look back on to make sure that, you know, you're like a box ticking exercise. You can tick it all off. You can say, hey, I've done that this week, I've done that this week. And I always say it takes 21 days to form a habit. You do it for 21 days, you do it for 3 weeks solid, you are going to create a new routine that is going to enrich your life. It's going to make you feel like you have control. This is one of the biggest things with going through a breakup, especially if you were left. You lose complete control over every situation that you are being put in. Absolutely everything. And if you are anything like me, like hopefully if you've listened to my podcast, got me on Instagram, you feel like you know me a little bit better. I'm a complete control freak. And I will say that in terms of like everything in my life, not in my love life, like not in my relationships. I don't try and control people, but things with me, I will try and control. And when you are going through a breakup, you are so out of control because one of you always gets hurt the most, and it's usually the person that didn't walk away. It's usually, you know, the person that didn't want to go through the breakup. They lose all control over the situation. So these guides and these courses that I'm building are hopefully your way of being able to regain control over your breakup, because you just feel completely out of control. So I've got the Become the Best Version of Yourself, which I always say, if you want to listen to my 100th episode first, the course is very much along those sorts of lines. That's available from my Stan store, still at the introductory price that it was at. The link is in my bio. And now we've got a course on detaching from your ex. And this is a course that is full of practical advice, how to put into your daily routine, how to do things, how to stop yourself from thinking about it, you know, how to actually start moving forward to detach from your ex. And it doesn't happen in 4 days, which is why I did that episode last week. And I went back on the recording, I went back on the editing, and I was like, I really wanted to tell them that that's the reason, that was the motive behind last week's episode, and I just didn't get there. I was just obviously going off on tangents, you know me, all over the place. And as always, guys, if you want more episodes like this, head on over to my Patreon. It's $4.50 a month. The link's in my bio. 2 extra episodes go live every single Wednesday. So you are primarily getting 3 episodes a week, not just the one. And that's $4.50 a month. Like I said, you can sign up. The links are in all of the bios, and I'll probably share them as well just on my Instagram story when I release this episode. So just on that, thank you to everybody that has followed me on Instagram, on my old account, on my Move with Lou account. I feel like in the last week, my content has really come on leaps and bounds. I feel like I'm creating content that I'm enjoying. I'm being able to be social with people because I've started following accounts that are aligning with what I want to do. And I feel like it was a really good move shutting down my podcast Instagram. I felt like it was kind of taking a lot of my time, draining my time a little bit, and I wasn't finding my flow online. I was so worried about changing my running account into more healing, more mindset, more breakup content, more podcast content. I was so worried about doing that because I've seen people change their accounts and stuff before in the past, but hopefully, fingers crossed, you will continue to enjoy all of my content over there. I've had a couple of videos go viral in the last 2 weeks, which has made me feel really good about making the jump and making the change. I feel like I'm at my best when I am making content that I know resonates with my audience. And that I always say, I used to get stuck down TikTok holes when I was in my breakup, just searching for people that, you know, had the upset videos and the happy videos, or like the upset videos and then the couple videos at the end. And I wanted to see a story. I wanted to see people, you know, getting out of the trenches. I wanted to see people healing from a breakup. Hence the reason why I make content like I do, because I know that my content would have helped me when I was really suffering. So thank you for coming over and for sharing my content as always. This week, I'm going to be talking to you guys about not giving up on yourself. So many people will message me and they're like, I physically cannot do this. And I remember sitting in my kitchen with my mum, and I hadn't eaten for a couple of days. I say that like I'd had like a banana and a packet of crisps or something, but like I hadn't eaten a full meal for a couple of days. And your mum's your mum. And my old house used to be 2.5 minutes away from where my mum and dad used to live. So when I was going through my breakup, it was the best because I was able, like my mum doesn't drive, so my mum was able to just walk down to my house. Now, if I was going through my breakup now and I lived where I lived, my house is about 20-minute walk away from my parents' house. So like when we moved into the house, everyone was like, oh, you're 2.5 minutes away from your mum and dad. And it was like, yeah, we are, but actually it was really handy. And I used to walk up and down all the time. If I ever forgot anything with my shopping, milk, eggs, anything, I could just run up to my mum's house. It was actually really convenient. But when I was going through my breakup, it was great because my mum didn't have to rely on my dad to take her anywhere and to bring her to me. I know that my mum would make that 20-minute walk every single day if she needed to, if I was going through my breakup and I lived in this house now. But it was just great because it meant that she could come and check on me. Anyway, I remember one morning she came down to check on me and I'm sat on my island unit in my dressing gown, and she walked in and she looked at me and she just burst into tears. And I was like, sobbing, and I think I'd had like a really rough 2 days. And she said, I can tell you're not eating. And she said, please don't take this the wrong way, but you look dreadful. And I looked dreadful. My face was puffy. I was like emaciated. My hair was just horrible. And I've got a picture of me in the morning because I remember thinking this is one of my low points. And my eyes are like red raw from crying the night before. They're so puffy. My whole face, like I think my face has changed shape. Like my stress hormone was like making my face round, because when I look at photos of myself when I went through my breakup, I look like a different person. So yeah, she came round, and I remember saying to my mum, sat on the island unit, she's crying, I'm crying, she's like literally cradling me. And I said, I physically cannot do this. I cannot get through this pain. This pain that I'm feeling is so overwhelming. I genuinely don't think I can see a way out. And I remember her just crying and crying and crying. And I've said before, you know, like my mum finds it really upsetting because she couldn't advise me because she's never been through a breakup. But it was rough, and I remember thinking there is no way out. And sometimes, like, I loved the support of having my friends and family around me, but sometimes I just wanted to be on my own. And it was one of those stages where, like, I don't think I'd seen anyone for a couple of days, and I was just in a hole. And I remember thinking, I cannot do this. And I remember thinking, I'm fully giving up on myself here. Like, I can't get through this. I'm not strong enough to get through this. And I get a lot of messages, and it pulls on my heartstrings because I've been there, and I know how it feels to feel weak, and I know the frustration and the constant battle that you're in with, you know, a good day and then being hit with like 3 bad days and feeling like you're going backwards and not feeling like you're going forwards. And it's just so hard not to give up on yourself. And so I'm going to talk to you in this episode about not giving up on yourself and why you shouldn't give up on yourself. Give you a few mindset shifts that you can work on and take away with you, because I think it is so common to feel like this, and I think it is so normal to feel like you are giving up on yourself. And I talk a lot about self-love and self-healing and, you know, being the best version of yourself and stuff, and I just think you have to listen to these harder episodes before you go into doing stuff like that, because you do have to go through the trenches. Like, you do have to go through it to be able to come out the other side. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of like motivation to not give up on yourself, because going through a breakup, you feel really lonely, and there wasn't a lot of people that I could really talk to about what I was going through, because not a lot of people I knew had gone through it. Had I started talking about my breakup a lot sooner than I did, I would have found that there are thousands of people on the internet that would have supported me. However, I didn't do that, and I felt quite alone. So hopefully this episode will bring you a little bit of comfort. It will make you feel like you're not on your own. It will give you a little bit of a boost today to know that you are doing the best that you can and to not give up on yourself. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it.
So, as always, I've got my notes just here. Just if you are watching on YouTube, I'm going to be looking over here. So I think it is completely normal to feel like giving up on yourself post breakup. I feel like it's not something that when people say like, I can't do this, like, you know, when you're faced with saying like, I can't do this, you feel like a bit of a fraud, because you think like, should I be feeling like this after going through a breakup? And the answer is absolutely 100% yes. It is completely normal to feel like you want to give up, because like I said, you're going to be so overwhelmed with all your emotions. And I think the one thing that made it harder for me was the fact that I could hear a song and burst into tears. Like one song, I refused to watch sad films. I didn't want to go and see anything that reminded me of like, you know, relationships, marriage. I didn't want to see people being happy because I was so unhappy. And what people don't realize is that like healing, that is healing. And healing is finding out what songs you can't listen to, what foods you can't eat, what the reminders are going to be of that person in your life. And healing is removing that. And you're not going to find all those things out at once. And, you know, I always say that there's one song that I listen to when I'm feeling like I need to get out emotion. It catches me off guard every single time. I cannot physically listen to that song in any other capacity. And Spotify, if you use Spotify, will like compile your own playlist together. And I remember it made like a playlist and it was at the top because I'd listened to it so much in 2022. And it came on the other day and I was like, oh my God, I still cannot listen to this song. And you start doubting yourself because you're like, I can't listen to this song. That means that I've not healed. No, it just means that that is just something that triggers something that is still painful, because it's supposed to be painful because it is a big event that happens in your life. And I used to feel exhausted with myself for feeling like this. So I used to think, oh, for God's sake, like a song would come on and I would like get teary, or like someone would mention something to do with my ex or like be nasty about him. And I would like sit there and like wipe tears out or fly from under my eyes. And I would be like, this is rough. Why do I feel like this? And feeling exhausted doesn't mean that you are failing. It literally means that you're growing and you are having to put in such hard work in order to move forward. But if you don't do the hard work, if you don't put the groundwork in, you're not going to be able to move forward. And all these things are seen so negatively, like, oh, God's sake, like I can't even listen to that song. Instead of thinking like, oh, do you know what? This actually triggers quite a lot of emotion in me. But the more I listen to it, the more I'm going to find out why. Is it the words? Is it like, what is it that does that? And you become more secure in yourself because you're like, right, I don't need to be listening to that song today, or I'm going to remove it off all my playlists. Or I remember it wasn't even that too long ago, the new Bridget Jones's Diary film came out, and it was all about her going back into the dating life and the dating world. And you can protect yourself from things like that. I didn't want to go and see it because I'm not interested in dating. Like dating, it doesn't interest me at all at the moment. And my sister was like, do you want to come and see it? And I was like, no, because I keep hearing things about people crying in the cinema because it's all about dating. And I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm watching something that's going to make me think like, shit, should I be back out there? Should I be dating people? You can protect yourself from things like this. Instead of thinking like, I'm broken, like for God's sake, like I still cry at this song. For God's sake, I still, can't watch a film that's to do with situationships, can't watch a film to do with love, marriage, or, like finding the love of your life and falling in madly in love. Like these things aren't triggering you because you are broken. You are trying to break free and break open into a new life. And these are the types of things, just like getting to know someone new, you're getting to know yourself. And so you're getting to know this version of yourself. You've never, ever been this version of yourself. So yes, you're exhausted. Yes, you're thinking I'm broken. Yes, you're thinking, for God's sake, God, like I'm literally giving up on myself. But that's because you don't know yourself. And I remember thinking when I was texting somebody, like, this is hard work. This is like pulling teeth. Like I'm not getting to know this person because they're not talking to me. They're not texting. And now when I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, I was like that with myself. Because like I wasn't opening myself up to these things. I wasn't accepting these things. I wasn't accepting that the songs were making me happy. I wasn't accepting that I didn't want to watch these films. Now, when my sister said, like, do you want to come and watch this film? It's about dating. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put myself in that situation because I know how that's going to make me feel. And we can mask it up and you can mask how you feel. Of course you can. But why? Because it just does more damage. And I remember reading something that said, pain isn't there to crush you. It's there to crack you open so more light can move in. It's like the glow stick theory. Like you have to crack a glow stick in order for it to grow. You have to go through these like feelings of being exhausted, feelings of like, oh, for God's sake, this song's just doing me head in. Like, it's made me, and I'm not growing because I'm still crying at this song. All these things are going to build you into a person where you will feel strong and secure in yourself. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build a healthier relationship with yourself because you haven't got a relationship with your ex anymore. And this person that you are, you don't know yourself without your ex. So you do, and you're trying to get back to a version that maybe you were pre-relationship. And a good affirmation to go along with this is that I am not broken. I am breaking free to open myself up to new opportunities, to a new life, to a happier life. Affirm it with yourself. You are not broken. I am not broken. I'm breaking free into my highest self, into the strongest version of myself. These are things that you have to keep telling yourself, because when you feel like you are going to give up on yourself, that's when most of the beauty happens. Your hardest nights, you're kind of like going out and drinking loads, getting really drunk and thinking, I'm never doing that ever again. Unless you're me. And we all know that story from Christmas 2023 when I had the world's worst hangover. I still go out and I still drink. But the following Christmas, did I sit there and drink as much wine as I did? No, I made sure that I was getting fresh air. I made sure I moved around. I did all of that. It was strategic how I spent last Christmas because I didn't want to have one of those awful hangovers. It's kind of like when you make a big mistake at work. I'll never forget, I printed someone's name wrong on a will before. When I was at the solicitors, when I was just come out of university. And I remember the girl that I worked for at the time just going mental, quite rightly too. She was like, you need to start checking your work. And nothing went out after that half-assed. I checked everything. Every minor detail had been checked. So you are growing into this new person. How you're feeling at the moment and giving up, it is normal when you feel like And like I said, just one awful conversation can make you feel like you've gone back 10 steps, but you haven't. You've got to go through these motions of these situations to remind yourself that you are growing through this and it is going to get better. I think the pollen count must be really high today. I've got such an itchy nose. I'm so sorry. I keep touching it and I'm really aware and I keep having to pause and like itch my nose. It's really itchy. Again, like I haven't even opened my windows this morning and my nose is itchy, so apologies for me keeping touching my face. So next I want to talk about you being prepared, not punished. I'm going to go back to a quote that diamonds are made under pressure. The more pressure you put on that rock, the better the diamond. And like the most incredible caves are made from years of the ocean battering them. Like beautiful things are made from when they are put under pressure. You are never being punished. Why is this happening to me? I must have done this in a previous life. Like sometimes when bad things happen to me, I'll like message my friend and I'm like, I need clarity. Was I a shark in my previous life? Did I kill people for fun? Like, why have I gone through this? Like, why am I going through this? And usually it's just something me walking into the supermarket and seeing somebody that I've not seen for years and looking awful like a troll. I'll then come back and be really dramatic and be like, was I a shark in a previous life? What have I done to be put in situations like this? But when you're going through a breakup, you do think a lot like, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? This is really unfair. I can't believe I'm going through this. And all these setbacks, all your lonely nights, all of the hard conversations, all of the times where you put the phone down and you think, oh my God, this is going to kill me. It's not. These things don't kill you. You're not being punished. You've done nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. You are being prepared to becoming the most resilient person that you can be. And I stress myself out sometimes because sometimes I need to listen to my own podcasts because I don't take my own advice because it's very easy for me to slip into like old ways. Yes, I've been in therapy for 2.5 years, but it's really, really easy to just slip into old habits. And recently I found myself kind of going back into an old habit that I don't really like. And so I'm trying my hardest to be really aware of it and to kind of like break it down myself and be like, why have I done that? Like, why have I reacted like that? And why have I said something to myself like that? Why am I attacking myself? And how you speak to yourself, I talk about this a lot. How you speak to yourself, it will have an impact on you. How you're talking to yourself up here will have an impact on you. You might not think it, and you might think, oh, I think a million things all in one go. I think a million things all the time. It does have an impact on you. You have to be kind to yourself. You have to talk kindly to yourself. You're not being punished. The more you say to yourself, like, I'm being punished, I've done something wrong, the more you're going to start believing it, and the more you're going to bring negative stuff into your life. And it's kind of like when you think about getting a bill or getting something in the post or a parking ticket or whatever, usually it will come to you. I always say that I've got a really positive mindset with money. I've never had loads of money, but I've always been clever with it. I've always had a good relationship, a positive relationship with money. And that's how I don't think about money. I don't think, oh my God, I'm going to get a parking ticket. Oh my God, I'm going to get a speeding fine. Because let me tell you something, I talked my speeding ticket into existence. I said to my dad, I was like, we're talking about points on our licenses and stuff. And I was like, I fly around in my car. And I was like, one of these days I'm going to get stopped. And I was caught by the stupidest speed camera, a speed camera on a road that I have driven down for years. And it was there and it doesn't move. It's always there. Everyone knows it's there. And I went flying through at 35 and it's a 30. And I spoke it into existence. Sure enough, a few weeks, I had a letter come through for me getting done for speeding. So you talk things into existence. You might not believe in it. You might think, I don't believe in the universe, but it is true. Trust me. You talk things into existence. The more you start saying, I'm being punished, this isn't fair, what have I done to deserve this? The more you will speak things into existence. So the more you'll probably have difficult conversations, something won't go your way. I always tell the story about how I bought my house, and I remember thinking I'm never going to find a house. It was so hard. The market was dry when I was buying a house. I was buying at the worst frigging time. No one was selling because no one could afford to buy because the interest rates were at like 6%. And I remember saying to my mum, I'm never going to find a house. I'm never going to find a house. And I was speaking it into existence. Every single house I went to, every single house I went to, I just couldn't find something that I liked. There was something wrong with it. It was either a big renovation project or whatever. There was just no house there. And then I remember sitting down and thinking, no, do you know what? I'm going to print off the house that I want. I wanted the house that I wanted to come on the market. I printed it off, found it on Rightmove. It was a house up the road from my old house. Printed it off, wrote the price that I wanted to pay for it, and I stuck it on my pinboard. That price is the price that I paid for this house. Yes, it wasn't the house that I wanted, but I'm so glad that I don't live on the same street as I used to. It would be too much for me if I actually thought about it. But I stuck it on my vision board and I thought about it. And then within a few weeks, this house came on the market. I found it. It was way out of my budget. I managed to get it down to a price that I wanted to pay for it. And it got accepted. And the house was taken off the market a whole year after my ex left. And so I don't really know if you need any more proof that the universe will have your back and, you know, that you can speak things into existence. That for me would be enough proof. But if you still don't feel like that, you can just change your mindset. Start thinking like, how is this going to contribute to my future self? How is this going to help me? How is this difficult conversation going to help me? After a difficult conversation, you're going to find out what makes a difficult conversation. You're going to find out what makes you angry. You're going to find out your trigger words. I've got words that people can say to me and I can instantly change. Like it will instantly bring me back to a place where I don't want to be. Certain words for me and certain phrases and conversations and stuff just that I've had with my ex. I know that like I cannot have somebody say those words to me or, you know, like say those phrases to me. And it is perfectly fine to have boundaries like, please don't say that to me because it reminds me of a difficult conversation with my ex. Had you not have those difficult conversations, you won't be able to heal from them. So yes, these difficult conversations, these lonely nights, these hard situations, these situations where you think I'm being punished are so shit. They are kind of making sure that you are aware of how you're going to protect yourself in the future. These things that you're going through now are going to help you create the boundaries so you can protect yourself. Because even though you can't see it now, every single challenge that you are going to face is there so it can stretch you, so it can teach you, so you can go and move past it, move forward, like upgrade and say like, hey, like I'm not standing for that. There are so many arguments that I had with my ex that now I would not stand for. I would not stand for being spoken to like in a certain way. I would not stand for half the stuff that he said to me. I would not even give him the benefit of the doubt. I'd have locked the door. I'd have locked him out. I wouldn't have sat in those awful situations where I was sobbing in front of somebody whilst I'm pretty certain that all he was thinking about was, how can I get out of this? How can I get out of this? How can I get out of this? I know when people shut down now, like there is just no way in this world that I would ever put myself in situations that I've put myself in before. And you're going to have hard conversations with people. Eventually, when I get into a relationship, we probably are going to have arguments. I'm quite fiery, so I'm quite hot-headed. So we probably are going to have a few disagreements on something whilst we're getting to know each other. And that is completely normal. But at least I know I can say, look, I've been in this situation before. This has happened. This was the outcome and I didn't like it. So I'm probably not going to stand for it again. You get to form these boundaries, these negative things that are happening to you. And I know it's so annoying because you probably sat there thinking, yeah, but I'm drowning. Please don't give up on yourself. This is what I'm trying to portray in this episode. You cannot give up on yourself because these things are here to transform you. And tiny actions create huge momentum, like huge. And there are little things that I think like certain things that I do and I think that is a tiny thing from the outside. People probably think that is a tiny thing and they have created huge momentum in my life. And you might be thinking, what are you talking about? And what I mean is these little things that don't transform your life overnight. Like you're not going to listen to this episode and think, oh, do you know what? I'm healed now. Yeah, do you know what? Because I've listened to Lou and she's made me feel so much better about everything. I understand your life is not going to transform overnight. You need to understand that your life isn't going to transform overnight. You don't have to have it all figured out now and able to move forward. I've said this before. You don't have to be completely fully healed to start living your life. I was living my best summer life in 2023. I was still in the trenches. I had the best time. I did so much. I went away. I was here, there, and everywhere in 2023 and in 2024, to be fair. But 2024, my life was kind of like leveling out a little bit more. But 2023, I was still really going through it, really struggling with my breakup. And yet I was still healing, but I was still living. And people are quick, especially with social media, people are quick to be like, oh, she's fine. Have you seen what she's posting on socials? And it's annoying because you think, oh yeah, like she's having the best time because she's posting on socials. Everyone posts a highlight reel on social media, but you just need to show up for yourself in small ways, because the small steps, they compound, they build, and they matter. And these little things that I'm about to talk about, you might think, oh, that's stupid. But that is why you're struggling, because you're thinking, that's stupid. So get out of bed when you want to hide. On the days where you just want everything to stop hurting, get up, get out of bed, make your bed, sit on it, get back, not into it, onto it, make your bed, go for a walk, drink more water, do that meditation that you've wanted to be doing, that little 5-minute meditation that you've read about and that you want to do. Journal your heart out, take all my advice, buy the course, purchase a course that's going to make you feel better. Talk to somebody about, how you're feeling. Take that one little step, these tiny little steps, they all compound together and they all matter. They matter so much, because that little thing, that task, getting out of bed, I will never, ever, 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 ever judge anyone that says they couldn't get out of bed. I used to think, what? Now I totally get it, because there were some days where I physically could not get out of bed. And those days were the hardest, and they dragged me down. And I would, before you know it, be in bed for 2 days, 3 days, in a whole world of pain. And like I say, pick up a book, get a notepad, get a refill pad, journal out how you're feeling. If you've been listening to my podcast and you think like, ugh, journaling, meh, meh, meh. Have you tried it? No, you can't knock it until you try it. So try it. It actually might help you. And I think one of the biggest mindset changes and the shifts that I made around this sort of thing was the fact that I would say oh, well, I can't change anything. I can't change the outcome of my breakup. Nothing's going to change because he doesn't want me. He's decided to leave me. It's why bother? Why bother putting in all the effort? So I'm not going to get out of bed. I'm not going to do this. But what you should be thinking, and what I started thinking, was all these little things are going to add up, and small steps create big transformations. And now, looking at me and thinking about myself and thinking about how far I've come, I understand that all these little things that I did do add up. They create a big transformation. And then, just like I always say, firm it with yourself. Do your affirmations. You are building momentum. Think about it. Affirm to yourself every single tiny weeny bit of act of love that I'm doing. Every single time that I get out of bed. Every single time that I journal out my feelings, I'm looking after myself. I'm creating a better person. I'm evolving into a better person. I'm evolving into a stronger person. You need to trust the process. You are building. It's like what I said on my Patreon about building a house and laying the foundations. You are building a new person. Not a new person. That's wrong. It's not a new person. You're building a stronger person. You're building a person that you don't know. You don't know. And I know that I say this quite a lot because I do. And it's true. And I'm always honest on this podcast. But sometimes I do stuff and I'm like, scary. You're scary. Who is this person? And sometimes I do stuff and I'm like, you are so stupid. Why did you just do that? You shouldn't be doing that. And so you literally have to have a relationship with yourself. And I wish there was somebody saying all of this stuff to me, because I was standing in the shower earlier and I was thinking about, doing this podcast episode and, not giving up on yourself. And I think so many times I sat on my kitchen floor and I gave up on myself, and I was so nasty to myself and so unkind. It's so sad when I look back, because I think I wouldn't have become this person had I had not thought every single day, this is all going to be worth it. This is all going to be worth it. This is all going to be worth it. Every single day without fail, I would sit up and affirm, do my affirmations in the mirror and look at myself and be like, you are creating the stronger version of yourself. Whatever you face today, it's going to build, it's the foundations towards becoming a stronger version of yourself. And then I'd get hammered with shit from my ex. Just something each day that would just trigger me. And sometimes I think I say it's not an ex bashing podcast. I think some people wanted to listen to this podcast to hear like me say nasty things about my ex, but I don't. I just tell a story about what happened in our breakup. But sometimes I think, my God, it was every day. At one point, I remember literally saying to him on the phone, please stop ringing me. Please stop contacting me because I physically cannot have these conversations. When we sold the house, it was just chaos. Like, I remember sitting in the hospital car park with my mum. My mum had gone in to the hospital and she came back out and she was like, I've literally been in there for 20 minutes. What the hell has happened? And it was just difficult conversation after difficult conversation. And I was fighting for my freaking life. And towards the end, he just didn't care. And like, he just couldn't understand how much I was suffering and how much I was really, really not okay in my own head. And now I'm like, there is no way that I would ever let anybody do that ever again. I would be out of there. I'm a stronger person now, and I scare myself sometimes. And I do scare myself sometimes. And sometimes people look at me and go, that was an over exaggeration. No, it wasn't. Not in my world. If you think that's over exaggerating, then that's fine. But walk 10,000 miles in my shoes and then come back and tell me that was an exaggeration, because it's not. You have to be unapologetically protective over yourself because no one else is going to protect you. It is just you now. And I know I say it and I know it hits home. And sometimes you'll probably be thinking, I friggin' know I feel the loneliest person ever, but you are looking after you. Even when you're in a relationship, that shouldn't change. You should always be looking after you. You shouldn't have to rely on somebody to protect you. You should be able to do that yourself. And so this moves me nicely on to becoming the future version that you want to become. And obviously I've got the course on becoming the strongest version of yourself. And that focuses on a lot. I think week 3, I did a lot of visualizing yourself in the future, but you have to do it. You have to visualize yourself in the future. And like right now, how you are showing up for yourself is amazing. How you're showing up for yourself every day. The fact that you've listened to this podcast episode, I know that you have listened to this because you feel like giving up. But the fact that you've listened to this episode means that, to me, that you don't want to give up on yourself. You want to find a way out. You want to learn about how to move forward with your life. You want to know how to deal with your breakup. Everything you're doing, even subconsciously, is adding up towards the person that you are going to become out of this, like a phoenix that comes out of a flame. Sorry to sound cliche. However, it is true. You are putting in the work to be able to get to a point where I am now, where you're like, I don't need that. I don't need this. I've got this. I've built that. I've got all these really amazing things. I'm drawing in so much abundance in my life. Like, being grateful every day for the life that I'm living, the roof I have over my head, the car on my drive. Like, there are so many things that you get to be grateful for. And I never thought I would be this version of myself. I went through quite a lot of like stages of who I wanted to be and what I wanted to visualize. And you go through a stage of wanting to be in a relationship, and then you go through a stage of wanting to be really single, and then you go through a stage of wanting to date. And then, you know, I found my true power and my most calmest self in not dating and not having anybody involved in my life. And that's how I wanted 2025 to go. We're a couple of weeks off being in May, and I am the most calmest I've ever been, and my need for like attention or validation and stuff has just disappeared with the dating apps, like just completely gone. And my friend, I was talking to him the other day and I was like, you need to get off the dating apps. Like, it's ruining your self-esteem. And you visualize yourself as being this person. And I've always said that I wanted to be a businesswoman. And that is the type of person that now I'm focusing on, and I'm getting focused on her. I'm not being a businesswoman, but, you know, spending my weekends dating and being distracted and, you know, not putting 110% into everything that I'm doing online. I'm putting 100% to everything I'm doing online, because this time next year, I want everything to have doubled. I want to be 10 times bigger. So you have to get real with yourself. And I have only really started getting really strict on myself. Every morning I look in the mirror and I think, what are you going to do today that's going to level up your business? What are you going to do today that's going to level yourself up so that the person that I visualize myself being in 5 years' time is completely different from the person that I visualized 3 years ago, completely different to the woman that I was visualizing 10 years ago. You can evolve. You do evolve. You're supposed to evolve. Life changes. But I cover all of this in the course, so I don't want to go into too much detail with it because I know a lot of you have bought the course and I know a lot of you are interested in it. But instead of being stuck in the energy of being in your past pain, start living in the energy of your future. So every time you have a good day, every time anything feels a little bit lighter, get out your journal. Visualize yourself as being that person. You will be in a better energy. You'll be in a better headspace. That doesn't mean that's going to happen every single day. Like I said, you can't give up on yourself. You can't give up on yourself when you've had a good day visualizing and you think in 5 months' time or 6 months' time, I'm going to look like this. This is how I'm going to be living. My life is going to look like this. This is how I'm going to be living. This is who's going to be in it. This is who isn't going to be in it. This is who I'm going to make time for. This is who I'm not going to make time for. Do all of that. Do all the work. And there was a quote that's from my favorite book, The Secret. It's, I will think, act, and grow into the person that I want to be in my future. I will think, act, and grow into the person that I want to be in the future. And sometimes for me, when I'm getting really busy and there's too much going on and I feel myself being like, oh, why am I doing this? Like, this is so difficult. Being self-employed is so hard, and starting something online is really difficult because it's saturated and blah, 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 blah. All those things that come rushing into your head, because trust me, the self-doubt is real. All of those things, when you think, I think, act, and grow into my future self, it pulls you back down. You're back there. You're focused. It's so important. Every decision that you go away and make today, that if you're still having conversations with your ex that are difficult and all of those, what I mean is every other decision that isn't around your breakup, everything you do today, think, is this contributing to my higher self? Is this protecting me? Are you going to have that conversation? Is that going to protect you? Would the woman in your future pick up the phone to your ex and just have a random go at because you've heard so-and-so said so-and-so about this? I was awful for it because everything was hearsay and everything was coming back to me. He's done this, he's done that. I was picking up the phone every single time. And eventually, to be fair, I've found out things since, we've stopped talking. I would never dream of picking up the phone now and being like, hey, just to let you know, I found about X, Y, and Z. Why would I do it? She's going to hurt my feelings because he's just going to turn around and say, we're not together anymore. I don't care. I'm not going to get an apology, am I? So think about it. Think about what you're doing. And I know it's hard because your head is spinning with thoughts, but every single decision you make today, every moment that you choose to be confident and to have faith in the fact that you are going to grow into this person, every single time you choose faith over fear, it's a step closer in the right direction, and that you feel like you're not giving up on yourself. And finally, I just wanted to talk about forgiving yourself, and forgiving yourself quickly as well, because in a breakup, I can't explain, but I would pick up the phone. I'd be having an all right day. I'd be having an average day. I'd be rating my day out of 10. I'd probably be saying I've had a solid 6 kind of day. So my day is like a 6. Great. I would then take a phone call from somebody, or I'd talk to somebody, or I'd get a message from somebody, or I would have to reach out to my ex, and my day would go to a solid 2. And I'd be like, no, this is so annoying. Why is it so annoying? You're going to miss them. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to feel like you're going to want to give up on yourself. You will make choices that do not align with your higher self. You will make choices that don't contribute to your future. And that is okay. Healing isn't about never failing. It's about forgiving yourself faster. It's about thinking, hey, do you know what? That was probably a bad decision, but I'm going to learn from it. Noted it down. Probably not going to do that again. It's not about living in shame when you mess up, when you feel like you failed, when you feel like, oh my God, I'm not doing this again. Or, I can't believe I've done that to myself. It's not about living in shame when you slip up. It's about loving yourself and calling yourself back home when you slip up and saying, hey, do you know what? We're healing together. Hey, do you know what? I'm healing at the moment. This is all new, especially if it was like me, like my first breakup. This is all new to me. I am learning, I'm listening. And yes, I could have probably made a better decision, but I know not to do that again. And forgive yourself quickly. Don't think after about 3 days. Why did I do that? Why have I not moved past from that? You will make yourself feel worse because you will stumble sometimes and there will be harder days. And so your mindset needs to shift from like, oh my God, like I've messed up, I'm back to square one. You need to be thinking every mistake is a lesson. Every mistake is a lesson, and the detour that I've taken still moves me forward. I'm still going to learn from it. Yes, you are trying to actively prevent yourself from putting yourself in situations that's going to cause you harm, going to cause you pain, but you learn from it. You will learn from it. It will drive you forward. You don't lose progress from just being a human being. You have feelings. You're not made out of stone. Things are going to hurt. You are going to get upset. Things that people say to you, things that you find out, things that your ex say, the conversations, they are going to hurt you. You are only human. Just make sure you are forgiving yourself quickly. So I hope that episode has helped. I know that I get loads of messages like, I cannot physically get through this. So I just wanted to remind you that you are not too much. You were never too much. You are not too late and you are not too broken. I used to tell myself that all the time. I used to say like, no one's will want to be with me because I'm so damaged. And I'm damaged and it's not my fault. And I didn't deserve to be this damaged. And I told myself all the time. So I'm just reminding you that you are not damaged. You are not broken. You are worthy beyond measure. And if you feel like you are giving up on yourself, then please, 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 please just listen to this episode. Listen to what I'm saying. Look at affirmations that are going to build you up. Make sure you're saying your affirmations. Make sure that, you're getting down on paper how you feel, learning from your mistakes, actually listening to what you're saying to yourself, listening to how you're talking to yourself. And remember that your spirit is stronger than anything. Any storm that you go through, your spirit is stronger. I don't like talking too much about the universe and spirituality and all the rest and the spiritual side of things. I am a very spiritual person. And it isn't to everyone's taste, but your spirit will be stronger than this storm. I promise you. I promise you. Like I always say, I am a human form of healing. You can look at me and you can think, oh my God, she's overcome all of that. If you head onto my Patreon, I go into depth about a lot of personal stories. So if you do want to kind of like not get to know me more, but like get to know my stories more, and the storm that I kind of rode, then all the stories are over on my Patreon. Future does look bright, I promise. Please do not give up on yourself. You are doing so well. And like I always say, guys, if you do want additional help, just follow the link in my bio to my Stan store. You can always message me. I'll always reply. It might take me a few days, but if you are on my Patreon, it usually takes me about a day to reply. On my social media, it might just take a little bit longer. But I'm always here if you do want to chat. And so if you're not going to join me on Patreon, then I will see you next Friday in the hour-long episode. Look after yourself, guys. Bye.